Okay, everybody, welcome to the last week of the course of leadership in the program of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. This is the final week. And so in this week for hybrid students, we have final exam. Now, after 1 hour, everybody who have final exam can take the quiz here. And otherwise, during the next days until Sunday, until the night of Sunday, you can take the final quiz, and also taking the quiz for hybrid students is mandatory in this session, in the Zoom meeting session. I posted an email about 1 hour ago to you, to all the hybrid students, and also send it by text message, SMS, to everybody who is an hybrid student, and invite them to come to class, the Zoom meeting sessions, to take the final quiz. Except of that, the hybrid students that want to take the quiz out of the Zoom meeting, they will be absent in the final quiz and they will miss the final quiz points. So let's go to the final subject of our lesson, a very, very consciousness rising lesson, so-called leadership. I love it. And yes, here. In this session, in the last chapter, in the last week, we want to talk about developing leaders. Why we are talking developing leaders, we should consider two approaches. Leaders as an individual and leaders as a factor, as a managerial factor of an organization. So it is very important for us as the thinkers, educators, coaches, managers, or leaders of leaders. It's very important to consider that in which dimension we want to talk about the leaders. Personal features of leaders. Do we want to develop the personal features or personality traits of leaders, or no? We want to work on leaders as the concept of leadership. So before entering this subject, we should know about the learning objectives, define the elements of leader development, 2, describe the elements of learning, 3, review areas that are addressed in leader development, 4, outline criteria of an effective development program. Next one, present the method used in leader development. Next one, consider the role of culture in leader development. And next one, summarize the role of person and the organization in effective leader development. Okay. At first, what are the basic definitions? Two approximately nearly concepts, but in details they are different. At first, leader development, and second one, leadership development. What is leader development? Leader development is to expand a person's capacity to be effective in leadership roles. And the next one, leadership development, focused on organizations' capacity to get work done through its leadership. So we have two parts. Also, sometimes we say organization capability to get work done through its leadership. When we talk about the leader development, we are talking about an individual abilities in an organization to play the leadership roles in their organization. But when we are talking about the leadership organization, we are talking about the increasing and enhancement the organizational capacity and capability for their leaders in the organization to create an atmosphere, a space, and give them time and effort, necessary time and effort to do their leadership skills, their leadership roles better than previous time in their organization. So in leader development, the focus of training is on the persons, and the leadership organization, the focus on training is on the organization, not on the person, not on the individual. With this logic, we can enter in a graph. So we have two dimensions, the vertical dimension and the horizontal dimension. The vertical dimension is about the concentration of person or organization. And the horizontal dimension is the one extreme is generic training, and the other one is customized training. So with this approach, when we want to look at the levels of leader development in different aspects, we want to talk about the different approaches to leader development in two dimensions, one horizontal, and secondly, it is uh, vertical. Okay. If you want to concentrate the training on education and learning and change is has the focal point, individual focal point. It has been concentrated on the person and the individual and the leader as an individual, but it is very generic about all the aspects of a leader. It is leader development workshop. It is called leader. We have four types of development: leader development, managerial development, executive development, and other one, it is self-development. So in a person, self-development or mentoring or coaching or personal development. So these are one, leader development, two, personal development, three, management development or managerial development, and four, executive development. Is the concentration is on one person, one individual. And the training, the content of training is generic, general information, general skills for improving the leadership roles of one individual leader in one specific organization. It is not customized for just for that person. It is the improving and enhancing the general skills of leadership in one person. It is called leader development. We are developing that specific person for increasing, for improving his or her leadership roles in a specific organization, or no, in total, as a total skills. Secondly, we are working in one person, very customized, very specific for that person. It is called coaching. One side of differences between coaching and therapy and counseling and management or education, psychoeducation, and training is coaching is customized for one person. It is like buying a dress. Yes, you go to a shop and see the dress and say, wow, such a beautiful dress it is. Should I buy it? Before going to paying money, before going to the cashier part, you go to fitting room. It is customized for me. It is fit to me or not. Can I customize for myself by a tailor? Sometimes. Is it tailor-made? It is not tailor-made. You have gone to a general shopping store and say, wow, such a dress, such a good dress I am looking at, and I want to check it to try that it is good for me or not, it is fit for me or not. So it is about the fitness, about the fitting room. It is something like that. When you are giving such general and generic education, generic training, for example, you are registering for a general coaching session, coaching class, so coaching course. Okay, when you go to it is general. You know about the coaching concept, coaching skills, how can you assess your client, how can you work with your client, how you evaluate your results, and how can you and your client have feedback on other parts. But when you go for a specific part of coaching for yourself, your mentorship, self-mentorship, it is called specific knowledge, fitting knowledge for that, for you. Because of that, it is about the self-development or personal growth or personal mentoring or personal development, the second part. So personal development, the area of concentration is one person. The type of content of concentration is specific, it is customized. But in leader development, the area of concentration, the area of content, the area of learning is one person again, but the content of learning is generic, general knowledge. But what about the other two areas in this graph you are looking at? The third part is when the concentration area, learning concentration area, the focal point of learning area is on the organization as a whole, not as one person. But the training and education, the learning, the change is very general and generic. It is about the managerial development or supervisory development. And at the other side, when your education, your learning is about the organization as a whole, but for specific people in your organization, it is about executive development. Sometimes it is called leadership development. So, knowing and understanding this graph is very important for your mental analysis about the different levels and different types of development you can create, you can offer to your organization. It is very important. Okay. So, what is learning? At first, when we are talking about learning, we are talking about everything. You should propose two types of definitions. One, conceptual definitions. Two, operational definitions, which is the basic part of entering to a subject as a scientific subject. When you want to talk, to think, to analyze, to make decisions based upon the science, at first you should have some good infrastructures for that science. Definitions are the basic part of infrastructure for every type of science. What type of definitions? Two types. One, conceptual definition. Two, operational definition. What about the conceptual definition? For example, when you want to consider a conceptual definition about intelligence, you say, what is intelligence? How can you define intelligence? And me as a psychologist will say, so the intelligence is the tools you can use for your mathematical, for example, calculations, or for finding the secrets, or for finding the ways to fit to other people or fit your living situations. From one specific approach, is it about educational intelligence, about the living intelligence, about the, for example, musical, spatial, and other types of intelligence? These are the conceptual definitions. These definitions don't say you that what are the operational, observable, measurable components of that type of intelligence you are studying. Never. They say what are the basic concepts of that type of intelligence you are studying. The basic concepts, not the tools for observation and measure. At the second part, you should offer and propose and suggest an operational definition. For example, for IQ intelligence quotient, which is honest and academic intelligence, a scientific intelligence, an educational intelligence. IQ is not the intelligence for everything. In different theories, different frameworks for intelligence, we have different types of intelligence, but one of the most famous and one of the most valid theories about intelligence is that we have 7 types of intelligences. Okay, so each of them, for example, spatial intelligence. For each of them, we have different conceptual definition and operational definition. Spatial definition, for example, a basketball player or a dancer has a good spatial intelligence. Why? Because he or she knows how to combine and coordinate his movements with his space around himself or herself. It is spatial intelligence or musical intelligence. When you have a good musical intelligence, you have a good talent for understanding so rapider than the other people. For understanding music, If sometimes it is about the playing music, sometimes it is about the making some pieces of music, and I don't know, other things which is common in music, not as a science, as an art. It is musical intelligence. So after all of these, when you want to enter one subject scientifically at first, you should suggest and you should determine and you should have a common sense about two parts. One, conceptual definition. Two, operational definition. So, what is the definition of learning? Learning is the ability to be educated. Learning is giving the material. Learning, learning, learning. These are the conceptual. But one of the best scientific academic definitions of learning is a relatively permanent change, relatively permanent change because of the previous experiences or rehearsals. So we see three components in learning. One, change. Two, relatively permanent. Three, experience or rehearsal. For example, we have a lot of biological changes, relatively changes in our body, something like aging, something like puberty, something like, for example, midlife, biological changes. They are relative changes. Yes. Permanent relative changes. Yes. They are changes. Yes, they are changes. But they are not because of experiences or your rehearsal. You can intervene and have some interventions on the course, timely course, or physical course, or social course of your, for example, aging. But you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. Aging is a major part of a living being, every living being, animals, plants, human beings, and other parts, other subjects and objects. All living beings have the same course, timely course, temporal course of aging. But you can have some intervention on the speed of aging and the quality of aging and how you interface with aging and other parts. But it is not based upon your experiences or your rehearsal. Aging, for example, yes, it is a permanently changed, but it is biological. It is not because of your specific experiences or your specific rehearsal. When you are studying your book, you have a lot of time for rehearsal. Repeat and repeat and repeat. If you want to learn, so in the highest level of learning, you should use your imaginary memory and your repeat again and your learning skills on other parts. This is an operational definition of learning. We say change, permanent, relatively permanent change because of experience and rehearsal. With this type of definition, you can define that is this type of, for example, learning. Is it learning or not? Sometimes it is only education. The differences, one of the differences between learning and education is about the data, about the information, but learning is not about the education, merely about the education. You learn a lot of things without education. How? Because of your experiences, because of your daily life, non-verbal education at least, or observational learning. But education is about the training. Training and education is about information, class, going to class, giving and taking information, and other parts. Okay? So, with this definition of learning, we should go to the factors in learning. So we are talking about development, leader development. The prerequisite for development is change. The prerequisite for change is learning. And the prerequisite for learning is experience. So is it a linear equation. No, it is not a linear. It is, as you see, it is a curve equation, a cycle and circular equation between the between the learning, change, development. At first, you should be aware of the need to change, of the need to learn. If you are not aware, how can a change be done? You cannot do anything about change. You cannot do anything. Why? Because you are not aware of the necessity of change, of the need to change, need to learn. So after uh, awareness of need to learn, of need to change, you will have some willingness to learn. Willingness has two parts, motivation and readiness. You should have a good force for learning, for changing, need to change. Because of that, we say it is very important to be aware of the need to change, not wish to change, not desire to change, need to change. Needs has a lot of force to doing, and also if you have a lot of resistance against your need will be persistence. As Carl Gustav Jung says, what you persist, resist. It is absolutely true about your needs. If you resist against your need will persist. What you persist, resist. Carl Gustav Jung, a very deep psychologist. Okay, so after awareness of need to change, we know how can we change by learning. Because of that, awareness of need to change is equal to awareness of need to learn. But it's not enough. A lot of people know that, yes, we should change. And I asked them, how do you want to change? They said, yes, I know that I should learn a lot of things, a lot of concepts, a lot of skills, practice and progress, and other things. And I asked them as a coach, so what is the first step? What is your first step for learning? They said, spending time and money and effort for the educational matters that, for example, you as a coach say me, yes, you should learn these parts. But after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, nothing will happen. Why? Because they don't have any force and direction. Sometimes it is external forces and direction. For example, in COVID-19, a lot of us knows that so our job is in hazardous. Our job is under risk. We may lose our job. A lot of people found a lot of forces to go to, for example, cyberspace, digital marketing, and other parts. Why? Because everybody is at home, stay at home. And when you stay at home, what is the best profitable tools for creating money and other parts, marketing your products or creating new services and productions? It is cyberspace, digital marketing. Now you see that a lot of people during the last 10 months of starting the pandemic of COVID-19, you see a lot of people has created their own sites, websites. A lot of people. Before that, they said, yes, it is good to have a website, personal website for offering. After COVID-19, everybody should stay at home. And they say, how can I have a good communication, interaction with other people, with other parts of the world, for my business, for my family, even for my entertainment? You see, a lot of entertainment. It is not only awareness of need to change, it is about motivation to need to change. And also about the readiness. Readiness is about learning. Readiness has different parts. One, what sources of learning you can find in your life or in your organization? How do you think yourself about the learning abilities? Some people, for example, think that, yes, I don't have any ability, any talent for learning mathematics or learning music or, for example, learning psychology, philosophy. neuropsychology, or for example, space, science of space. Some people say, no, I cannot learn the ability to do the marketing processes and business processes. I should be a simple employee. Why? Because my father and my grandpa were employees, simple employee too. So it's fake. Future is not similar to today. Why? Because today is not similar to yesterday. You are not the same one that you were yesterday. If you don't want to change your life on your purpose intentionally, your life will change unintentionally. It is something like movement. You cannot stop at one point, or you go by your purpose forward, or you will go back without your purpose. It is about the destruction and restructure. If you want to destroy everything, okay, it is very simple. If you want to construction everything, it is very good. But it needs a lot of time, money, effort. And more than everything, it needs a lot of motivation, force, and direction to go forward. Because of that, the first step is about awareness of need to change, and have the ability, have the motivation, have the force to create change. And before everything, you need self-belief. If you don't accept yourself, if you are not confident on yourself, you don't have any self-confidence, you cannot do anything. After that, yes, I should have some opportunity to learn. For example, for formal education, we need some uh, educational opportunity. Going to school, having the workshops, training, and other parts, register, for example, courses on other things in your organization or in your personal life. And one of the greatest opportunity to learn is developmental experiences. Developmental experiences, some part is about, for example, training. Other parts is exposure to different hard experiential situations. A lot of things that they seem they are so bad, unfortunate for you, they are the opportunity to learn. Why? Because they show you that you are vulnerable, that you can be destroyed by the external components or internal elements. A lot of bad situations in your life, a lot of non-comfort zone in your life, a lot of fearful zones in your life, they are the good opportunity to learn. Why? Because they show you your need to change. So after willingness and awareness to change, you need the opportunity to learn and to change. But we are talking about the organization. Your title, of course, is organizational theory. Sorry, your title of your course is about leadership. What type of leadership? Leadership in organizations. So when organizational culture is very important, after you as a leader, you as a manager, you as a simple employee, you as a co-worker, you as a mid-level manager, as an organizational member, what type of culture and formal and informal cultural support you can find in organizational culture? Some people leave a very vital organizations, very vital, very active. For example, Toyota, it's a very active organization. Learning and belonging to the organization is very, very important in Toyota. We cannot find anybody in Toyota who said, I'm not satisfied working with Toyota Japanese people. I'm talking about Japanese employees. You cannot find any Japanese employee in Toyota that says, I'm not satisfied to work with Toyota. Japanese people say Toyota is our family. and they have some sense of family membership to Toyota. And experience with success. Yes, it is about the cause and effect of success and self-confidence or self-efficacy. You need to change, and you have some opportunity to learn, and the supportive organizational culture support you for change. Now it's the time to act. Everything is on the stage. It's the time to act. Who is the actor? You are the actor of your life. If you consider your life as a scene, okay, such a good scene, it is ready for change. But where's the actor? I cannot find him or her. You are the actor of your life, especially in your organization, especially in your personal life, family life, social life, in your area of your authority. So if you have some successful experiences in your life, your self-confidence will change to your self-efficacy. We have talked about it in the previous sessions. So rapidly, I will repeat it. We have three components for self. It is self-esteem, self-confidence, and self-efficacy. All together will shape your self-concept. Self-concept plus your body image will shape your self-image. So self-efficacy is related to your self-esteem and self-confidence. These three components together we'll call self-concepts. How do you think about your valuableness in your life? It is your self-esteem. How do you think about your abilities? How do you judge your abilities in your life? It is your self-confidence. And how do you think about the role, your personal role, your specific role in your social or personal success? It is self-efficacy. Together, they are your self-concept. How do you think about yourself? When we add to this concept, your thinking, your judgment, not your real body, your judgment, your image about your body, so-called body image, adding body image to self-concept is called self-image. We have an imaginary component in self-image. What is the imaginary component of self-image? Your body image. Okay? We have talked about it with details in the previous sessions. With this approach to self, you can find experience with success. After that, you say, yes, good, I can do it. Why? Because I could do it. I could do it. I'm successful. Why not? After that, you have a sense of self-efficacy. Your locus of control will be internal, not external. You think, yes, especially in the developed countries like US, like Europe, you can find yourself as a person that can control and shape your personal life, your personal business life, your personal love life, your personal sex life, your personal body life, your personal spiritual life, especially in the developed countries that their bases are on individualism, especially in America. North America is individualistic culture. Everybody has the right to be his or her own self. It's okay to be me. It is the very famous motto in USA. It's okay to be me. Because of that, you can be yourself with an item, with a mandatory item. What is the mandatory item? You can be yourself if you can accept the responsibility and accountability of what you think, what you feel, and what you do. These are the three components of your mind. How do you think? How do you feel? How do you do? How do you act? Your thinking, your feeling, your actions, your thought, your emotions, your behaviors. Okay? So the next component after experience with success is capacity to learn. It's very important. Yes. I need to change. Yes. My organization provide me a lot of experiences, situations. Yes. Situations for learning. Yes. Training. Yes. Or I my own self can produce for myself some situations for learning and educating. Yes. And after that, I will go to have successful learning in those educations again. Yes. Finally, I think what I have learned, have I a good talent? Sometimes it is the basic. It can be the basic question. Am I talented in what I want to learn? It is not. It is not about your talent. It is not about your strengths. It is about your need to change, need to learn. Scientific articles, scientific facts and findings in positive psychology as a science, not as a philosophical mind about the positivity in their life. Positive psychology is not a philosophy, is it a scientific approach to human strengths and virtues and to the abilities of everybody. About the abilities. Love is an ability? Yes. Courage and ability, yes. Spirituality ability, yes. Love of learning ability, yes. And other parts. We have 6 virtues here in positive psychology. For human beings have 6 virtues and 24 abilities, 24 character strengths. You can find it in internet when you search for the phrase character strengths and virtues. Also, it is a title of one of the most scientific evidence-based reference books in positive psychology by Martin E.P. Seligman and Peterson. Okay, so in that part, we consider talent for a prerequisite for any type of learning. Yes, if you want to be genius, you need to be talented. Yes, you need to be elite. You need to be talented. But when we are talking about the organization, we are talking about the skills. We are talking about the better performance of you as a leader and better of your performance of your organization as a leadership context, not content. Content is with you. Just now, I want to talk to you about the differences between learning and development. Because you see in this graph that in different parts, we can use these words equal together, but they have some detailed differences. Learning and development. What is learning? Change has 2 parts, learning part and development part. Development is about the process of change, not about the content of change, but learning is about the content of change. So learning is before development. We say experience, after experience, change, after change, learning, after learning, development. At first, you experience something, yes, and after experience, you may change. A lot of times, you don't change. So, if you experience something again, and you don't have any change in your life, it is not learning. Because of that, a lot of aging people doesn't have any good wisdom about life. They have wasted their time. They have passed the lifetime, not the experienced lifetime. It is 2 different, basic different parts. Do you pass your life? And do you pass your lifetime? Or no, do you experience your vital life? If you experience your vital life, what is the symptom of I am experiencing something is after experiencing, you should have some changes in your life. Little, very, very small changes. It's just not about the great changes, very small changes. But the criteria that I can understand, is there any learning here in my life or not? It is about the changes. What type of changes? Changes based upon your experience. So the first part, experience, it is a real. And after that, if some changes have been happened, it is called changes. And after change, we can say yes. These experiential changes are called learning. After learning, we can see development. So learning is about the content of change, but development is about the process of change. These types are these pathway between experience, change, and learning is called development. And we can see different levels and different approaches to development. Well, what are the content of leader development? It is basic knowledge, personal growth, skill development, creativity, and strategic issues. At first, we talk about the leader development. We say if the learning is concentration of learning is on one person with the generic knowledge, it is called leader development. Is the concentration of knowledge is on one person with the specific knowledge, it is about coaching and mentoring. It is personal development. If the concentration of knowledge is on organization, but with very general and generic knowledge, it is managerial or supervisory development. And in the concentration area of training is an organization, but very specific organization. It is called executive development or leadership development. For organization, very specific, very fit and matched with the needs of the organization. But at the first part, what are the content of leader development? Basic knowledge. A lot of experiential leaders doesn't know anything about the basic knowledge of the leadership. A lot of people don't have any good knowledge about the leadership.
Okay, yeah, there you go. All right, thank you. Okay.
Don't have any good knowledge about the leadership. They are experiential leaders. Yes, they are experiential leaders, but they don't have any good leadership knowledge. So one of the first components of leader development, when we talk about the knowledge of leadership for one person, general knowledge of leadership, one part is basic knowledge, yes. Two is personal growth. For example, anger management, time management, stress management, other parts. Other parts are personal growth and skill development. Sometimes you are a leader, a very natural born leader, very charismatic leader with a good personality for leadership, but you don't know anything about the skill or new skills you need as a leader in your organization or in your society, in your community. Sometimes we can call parents as the leaders of the family. Why? Because they are thinking about the future. Everybody in the world who is thinking about the future, everybody who has a future oriented thinking, he or she can be a leader, can be, is not, but can be a leader. Why? Because the main part, the basic part of the leadership is future oriented thinking and creativity. What is the other part of leadership? In a fast changing world of the circumstances, for example, one very famous and unpredictable and unexpected sample is COVID-19. In the fast and rapid changing world of organizations, fast and rapid changing world of human being, creativity and finding the new ways to solve the same old problems or to solve the new problems created by the new and unpredictable and unexpected situations like COVID-19, it is very important to have creativity at first. Second, when you are talking about the vital things and consider the organization as a vital being, not as a very rigid being, you can consider flexibility and anti-fragile ability for the organizations. So now again, we need to find and sometimes create new solutions because it is a vital life. It is a vital being. Organization is not very, very bureaucratic, only bureaucratic being. It is a vital being with different ever-changing situations. Yes, we have some good predictions about the future of the organizations, but it is on the book only, in the theory. In the practice, you should convert the theory to your practice. For this conversion, you need creativity. And finally, one of the things that we should consider for strategic issues in the future is that how do you think about the future of your organization, of your community, of your society? how do you think that you can go from your missions to your visions? Is there any specific vision in your mind as a leader? Is there any predefined or very specific definition of the future for your organization or your for life? If you want, for example, lead your family, your yourself is also. We can have some strategic thinking for personal growth. Why not? If you know what is your vision, if you know what are your missions, and you know, want to know how can I go there from here, it is a strategical thinking. In organization as a leader, you should know about the strategic issues. What will destroy our future in organization? What will create a lot of new, for example, profits and benefits for organization in the future? What are the chances for marketing or market making in the future of our organization? These are the items of training for a leader. Is there any question? Hi, Marius. Hi, Joey. How are you?
I'm sorry, what? What was the question?
How are you? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just slightly just a little sick, but I'm
Okay.
pretty okay.
What about your parents? Are they good for COVID-19?
Yeah, they're good. They're fine. They've recovered. My mom still has a little bit of it left, but she's on her way to be full recovered.
Good.
Yeah.
Amaris, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I don't have any COVID-19, but I was worrying about the Joyce in herself and her family. That it's a good news that I hear that she
As
and
am
her
I.
family is
Hi,
good.
Thank you
Joey.
so much.
As
Yeah,
am I.
it's
Joey and I
been
have we've talked back and forth. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I hope your dad and your mom are doing well.
yeah,
Yeah, I hear that everybody is good and
yeah.
it's getting better and better.
Yes.
We're very, very lucky that we caught a very mild case of it.
Yeah.
Because my mom's a lung transplant recipient, so it was pretty nerve-wracking, but she's lucky. That's all
Wow.
I can say.
Wow. So
Mhm.
good. How old she is?
She is 67,
Ah,
68, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
so good.
So yeah, that's a blessing that she is doing well.
Mhm. Yeah, she was just really lucky. When her test came back, her transplant doctors called her and was just like, we'd really rather have you come in. So that if anything happens, she's there already and it's not prolonged, but she was able to go in, get treatment and come back out fine.
Very good.
Mhm.
Very good.
Thanks.
So we have some good news from you, and it's very good. Okay, let's go to the other parts. How can we find that our training is effective or not? We can find it in the organization as a criteria for effective training. One of them it is there any assessment? Do you know what is the difference between assessment and evaluation? Joy, do you have any view about the differences between assessment and evaluation? For example, in an organization, in therapy, in treatment, in leadership, these are structurally two different parts, assessment and evaluation. But sometimes I see that professional people don't know anything about the differences between assessment process or evaluation. Do you know what are the differences or merits to you?
I don't know if I've ever come across, like, I know what assessment is and stuff, but when I was managing, I would have to do like evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just as far as my knowledge goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Maris, how do you think about the differences between assessment and evaluation?
Well, assessment is assessing what is going on within the framework of the company, but when you evaluate it, you're evaluating the overall behaviors of the company, the employees,
Yeah.
how the entire process works.
But in the process of change, creating change, these have two main differences. Why? When you are at the starting point of creating change, it is about assessment. It is about gathering information.
Mm.
It is before creating change, at the starting point of creating change. But after ending the change, after creating change, evaluation is about the results. Evaluation is something like feedback. Assessment, it is before process, and evaluation is after process. Assessment, it is about the data, and evaluation is about the information. Do you know the differences between data and information in computer science? Sometimes they say it is the data, sometimes they say it is information. When I type something in my computer, I enter the data to my computer. What is happening in my computer? The data go to the brain of my computer. It is called CPU, Central Processing Unit. It is the brain of computer. And processing the data. And after that, shows the information on my computer screen. So entering the data, the processed data is called information. It is something like assessment and evaluation. Assessment is before starting the process. Evaluation is after ending the process. Assessment it is about the data. As an evaluation it is about the results. In the process of change, it is very important to know and think about the things in your managerial, especially leadership position, thinking with the conceptual details. If you cannot think in conceptual details, you are not a conceptual leader. What type of leader you are when you don't know anything about the concepts of your job, about the concepts of your business, about the concepts of your society? You are not leader, you are a high-level manager. And we have talked about the differences between managers and leaders in previous sessions. So assessment at first, what are our training needs? What do we want to educate other people? And what they need to learn? Rich and challenging experiences. It is about the practical. For example, we say to you as an MBA or DBA student, we say that go to the companies and expose yourself with the company's realities. It is challenging experiences. COVID-19 is one of the greatest challenging experiences after World War II. Why? Because it's new, very, very new. For ordinary people, it's very new. They said that, yes, some politicians knows about it, for example, 10 years ago. I'm not a politician, I'm an ordinary people. For ordinary people, it is not about thinking, it is about the real life, it is about the lifestyle. So, but it is rich? Yes, it is very rich. What do we mean of telling that it is rich? It means that a lot of information, a lot of challenging situations are in the COVID-19. Feedback and follow-up. Feedback, it is about what result we have received after doing something like, for example, our educational experiences. And follow-up, is there any outcome in the future, any predictable outcome in the future that we should look at them at the desirable and sometimes undesirable outcome in the future? Can we reach our desirable outcome in the futures? Is there any maintenance process for keeping the result, the desirable results in the future time? Or no, they are not permanent, they are temporary results. So good result, but they are not permanent. Follow up, for example, in therapy, in medical treatment, it is very important to follow up. If you have cancer and you go for chemotherapy and after that, for example, radiation therapy, it is very important to follow up you. Why? because you don't know what the symptoms or what the sign you should experience as a good treatment or not. You should not experience as a bad treatment. You don't know anything about it. Why? Because you are not an expert in cancer treatment. So your physician says you should be followed up, for example, for 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. It's very good for you to have a follow-up. Follow-up in organization is says that we have created some changes in our organization, and we want to know about these changes for the future. Are they maintained or not? Support from organization. It is financial support for your training, yes. It is educational support, yes. Do they think that education is very important for the development of organization? It is related to the managerial and leadership team of your organization. And fit and or integrate with the organization. Is there any integrity with the material, with the content of education that you are receiving, with the needs of your organization or not? There is no integrity, or the rate of integrity, the degree to which integrity can be created in your organization is not high. It is a lower integrity degree. It is very important to know and to determine the integrity degree between the needs of organization and the content and the process of education, process of learning and change that you as a leader are receiving in your organization or giving to other people, other employees of the organization. Presence for role models. It is very important that you know that who are you listening to, or who is learning from. It is very important. Is he or she, as a trainer, as a coach, as a mentor, can be a role model in your organization? Is he or she enough experience to be a good leader for you, to be a good coach or mentor for you? An opportunity to practice. Is it only about the knowledge, general knowledge? Is it about a specific knowledge? Is it about the knowledge or application of knowledge? Is it about the basic science, as we say, or applied science? And individual awareness and motivation that you can consider at the end of the process, or the middle part of the process, or at the first part or starting point of the process. If you don't have any motivation or awareness of need to change, we say that you cannot go forward to creating and giving and receiving the change that you need for your leadership roles in the organization. What are the conditions for effective development? We talk about the conditions in the last minutes, and some of them have been discussed. For example, clear objectives for training. Why clear? Because if you don't know what you want and what is needed for you to be learned, to be educated, say yes, you can have a lot of general knowledge about the need to change in your organization, but finally, it is not clear. It is very, very, it has a lot of ambiguous part, you can do it. Objectives tied to organizational goals. It is, I would say, the same page of the organizational goals. Using a combination of tools and methods, it is very important. Only knowing and only having knowledge about the tools, it is not enough. Why? Because you should know how to use your tools, and when to use your tools, and where to use your tools, and whom do you want to use your tools for. It is very important. Assessment of training, the first part. Follow-up to support training, we talk about the follow-up and support. And other parts, it is methods of leader development. 1, self-awareness, need to change. 2, experience. We talk about the relationship between development, experience, change, and learning. Coaching and mentoring. Coaching and mentoring has some detailed differences between coaching and mentoring. Coaching using, it is 2 parts. It is life coaching, or executive coaching, or business coaching, or sales coaching, or sometimes it is transformational coaching. For example, my profession is about transformational coaching. When we are talking about the transformational coaching, we are talking about changing you, not about your conditions, not about the circumstances, not about the outside of yourself. At first, the focus is inside yourself, your attitudes, your worldview, your philosophical mind, your dependency or independency to your society. How do you think about the death? How do you think about the life? What is the meaning of life? And how can you adjust this meaning of life with your daily life? It is not about the philosophical mind. It is about the daily life. It is life coaching. But transformational coaching, it is transform from one stage, one quality to another quality. Mentoring, mentor should be your role play. It is very important. You should have the time, the space, the effort, sometimes the money for playing the roles that you can find in your mentor. Mentor is your not idol, but mentor should be a little complete person. Coach, it is not necessary for coach to be very complete. Why? Because coach is developing in every type of coaching that he or she is practicing. Feedback intensive programs. Why intensive? Because it is very hard and very sharp, very tough, very, very tough, and sometimes very rough. Why? Because it is intensive, feedback intensive, straight, naked, completely naked feedback with no respect to very, for example, verbal consideration to have feedback. Very straight, very direct, sometimes very naked in the approach of living, in the approach of naked of thinking, naked of data, without any additional parts. Very direct and very straight. And classroom education, one of the traditional ways to development is education, classroom education. Register for a class, for a course, and go to physical classroom, or now go for online classroom and learn something. An outdoor challenge is about the out of the organization challenges that the leader can face as a leader in his or her outside live. Self-awareness, starting point for any development and learning. You should know, you should be aware of your need to change and clarify values and priority. It is very important, and it is basic part of awareness. You should know your values, you should know your priority and clarify for yourself. A lot of people have a lot of good goals, but they don't have any specific and clarified goals. It is important to be specific and prioritize and clarified goals. Learned about the strengths and weaknesses. So it's too bad that many people know about the weaknesses, but they are in a doubt about their strengths, and they think, no, it is not a strength. It is very regular for anybody else. I think it is not important for anybody else, or not only for you. It is your strength. Evaluation for self-awareness, assessment and awareness, not rich experience, no opportunity to practice, may have feedback and support, may fit with organizational goals. We have 4 criteria for evaluation after that you think that you have a good self-awareness about yourself. It is about evaluation, assessment, and awareness. How do you think about yourself? What are the tools and the method you can use for grading your self-awareness? How can you evaluate your thinking about this yourself? And not rich experience, no opportunity to practice. Is your self-awareness based upon only your view or worldview or your knowledge or your thinking, or not? It is based upon your self-exam in different and sometimes very hard and tough different positions in your life. Or no, only you have felt about yourself that, yes, I am this or I am not that. May have feedback and support from your organization and from yourself. Do you receive any support that it's good to be okay? It's okay to be yourself. It's not important for an organization. We support you to be better, to reach the next version of yourself, and to help you, to support you, that your next version be your best version and may fit with organizational goals or not. Okay. Now we have 15 minutes for break, and after 15 minutes, you can have your final exam. And also I am here.
Is it how much writing is it gonna be for the final?
1 hour.
Okay. And is it multiple choice and writing or is it just writing?
You should go and see.
Oh,
You should go and see.
okay.
Okay, after 15 minutes, just 11:30, I am here to say you the password, and after that you can enter the course,
Okay.
enter the exam. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everybody again. So password is okay. Welcome. Do you see the password, Maris?
I can
I'm
see it.
sorry?
Can you see the password for final
Yeah.
quiz?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have a good time.
It is, yeah, the 21st at 11 o'clock.